Hello, I'm Florence Franks. I'm the founder of the linen women's wear brand Riri, and I welcome you to Roots and Roots of Linen, the podcast which gives voice to actors and lovers of the linen industry in Europe. Linen is a rare, precious fiber, which tells us a story of heritage, territories, know-how, and ties to a living and generous land. Linen is the fiber with ancient roots that has taken the root of innovation and future. I invite you to join me on Instagram at @riri_editions or on Facebook at riri.linen. Please don't hesitate to leave your review, comments, and 5 stars if you enjoy the podcast. And here we go to the episode today. Today, I welcome you for a very special interview with Shannon, co-founder of Fibrevolution. With her, we speak about an American linen revival. I found this project so exciting. Rooted in historical Oregon's Willamette Valley fiber industry, Fibrevolution mission is to launch the first fiber flax mill in over 50 years in Oregon. The mill will serve as a blueprint for additional locations on the Pacific Northwest. The two co-founders, Shannon and Angela's vision is to establish a vast fiber industry in the US from local fiber farmers through manufacturing to textile design with a firm root in organic practices. With Shannon, we talked about the challenges of such projects, their vision and values, and of course, about how this ancient fiber, linen, is today more relevant than ever, and its roots are as deep as the willingness of linen lovers to share and connect with others, even when oceans separate them. Hello, Shannon. Welcome to the podcast. How are
Hello.
you?
Good. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm really excited to have you here and to talk about you and your experience with the Fibrevolution.
Yes, I'm excited to share more about what we're doing here in the States to bring linen back.
So, can you tell us who you are and, well, why do you do what you do?
So, my name is Shannon WELSH. I live in Oregon in the United States on the West Coast. And I have a background in apparel and textile design. And through that work, I got more and more interested into how textiles are made and the fibers they're made of, which led me to work with multiple groups around the US around natural fiber development through that work. And also because I personally am a huge lover of linen, it is one of my favorite materials to work with. I met a lot of people that were trying to bring back a textile industry in the US that has gone pretty dormant over the last 50 years. And working particularly around bringing linen production back to my region in Oregon, the Pacific Northwest.
And so, how did you start it?
How we got started, I met my co-founder of Fibrevolution, Angela Wartes-Kahl. We met through our work in regenerative agriculture and fiber production. Angela is a farmer, and she is also a textile certifier for organics. So she has a background in organic certification for textiles, works with the GOTS program. We met through our love of linen, really, is how we met. And she was growing linen on her farm already. And I went out to meet her and kind of see her crop. And then Fibrevolution kind of grew from our passion around linen and also wanting to get our region growing it again and getting infrastructure to process it.
Oh, that's great. So, before having a more in-depth discussion about fiber evolution and the vision you and Angela have, can you tell us the history of bast fibers in Oregon, your region? Yeah, I'm really curious about it.
So, Oregon was historically one of the only areas in the US that was producing linen. And around 1940s, in the mid 1940s, in my region of Oregon, the Willamette Valley, we had over 14 processing facilities that were spinning linen, scutching it, the whole process, all the way to woven fabric. And then within around by about 1965, all the mills had shut because World War II ended, and it really brought a demise to the industry. And now we don't have one processing facility left in North America for long line linen, none. and there is no harvesting equipment in the US. Like, it's really gone. Our region has not produced linen since the 60s. But it was a huge part of our culture. When I started digging into the history of flax and linen in Oregon, I was shocked. I've been here for over 4 decades and didn't realize just how large of an industry we had and how important it was. Our industry was important around the world.
So your mission today is to bring flax and linen production back in the state of Oregon and more widely in the US. What are the challenges you had to face so far?
The huge challenge is we have really no infrastructure whatsoever, but we also had no seed because we haven't been producing fiber flax. Our region and the whole northern US produces a lot of linseed, like linseed oil production, but not for fiber. So we just have not been growing fiber for decades. So we really had to build it up from nothing. Like, we didn't even have seed. We had to go out and luckily Oregon State University, which is in Oregon, has done some previous trials with fiber flax, and so they had seed that we were able to access, and we've been scaling that up over the years. But yeah, the biggest hurdle is there's just nothing here. No seed. No one has been growing it. We don't have equipment to get it out of the field. We don't have any infrastructure to process it. So we've been really building the foundations that it'll take to start growing all those sectors again.
Wow, that's huge. Did you see any, I mean, when you started, did you see any particular interest in linen from the people from your region or, well, United States?
Yes, linen is it's interesting because I've been working within like textiles and apparel for quite a like multiple decades now, and linen over the years more and more people are asking to use it. We get emails every day for people looking for linen in general because it's hard to source, but also people want something that's produced locally, grown locally. They want traceability. They want to know where things are coming from, where they're made. And because we're not making any of it or growing it here, that's really hard for people to be able to trace where the linen's coming from. But there is not only in the apparel sector, there's a huge demand for linen, but also the fiber, flax fiber, there's so many uses of the whole plant. The actual fiber is only 30% of the plant, the long line fibers. So you get the tow fibers and then you get the shive. Automotive industry over here is really interested in flax fibers. A lot of paper industry over here has been contacting us. So we see a lot of potential in all different sectors, not just apparel, which apparel is kind of our passion, but the whole plant has, a lot of uses that I think people haven't really realized, how great it is. Yeah.
That's why we love linen because it's
Yeah,
zero
exactly.
waste. And how did you learn about linen at the very beginning?
Angela and me, I think because we're just obsessed and love it, and it's such a passion for us. We have a lot of historical archives here because we did have a really flourishing industry. So we've dug through every archive we can get our hands on. We traveled the world. We went to Ireland, Belgium, France, the Netherlands, the UK, and met other linen producers and have been building relationships with people around the world, and then also working along different universities here who have done research around linen, like Oregon State University. So we've had quite a bit of support. People are pretty excited that we're, on this mission. So yeah, a lot of it's just been Angela and me reading, digging, researching, talking to anyone we can. Yeah, it's been a fun adventure.
There are other areas in US that also have a linen culture as yours in Oregon.
Yes, there is multiple regions here that also historically produced quite a bit of linen, like North Dakota, Minnesota area right now. They grow, in Canada, up and above us in North America, they grow a ton of linseed, flax for linseed. So we see a real potential to transition to, fiber flax. But there was other groups like in Pennsylvania that had a real history of linen, and we've been working with multiple groups throughout the U.S. There's probably about 9 groups that are actively trying to revitalize linen in their regions. And we've been working together to kind of share information. A lot of people are buying seed from us and trying to kind of build a supply chain that wouldn't just be, us in Oregon. There's a real push.
So yeah, because we didn't talk about it before, but I suppose that your heritage of linen in Oregon or in Pennsylvania is linked to the arrival of people from Europe, Belgians or Irish, right?
Yes, absolutely. So our research that we've done, we found that we were working historically in Oregon and throughout the US, but particularly in Oregon, we were working really closely with Belgium and Ireland. We were growing seed for the Irish linen industry. So our seed would grow in Oregon, and then we'd have grow the fiber in Ireland. A lot of the machinery throughout Oregon was in partnership with Belgium. And so, yeah, the Europe and the US were a lot of immigrants came over here and helped start, getting the industry over here. And we kind of see that happening again, that we're going to have to work together around the world to kind of prop linen up.
You say, well, Angela is a organic certificate expert and you want to follow the practices of organic agriculture. How do you actually apply these principles to your own field?
So we definitely have an organic push. We really tried to have our farmers grow organically. They may not be growing on certified organic land, but we use organic practices with the farmers that we contract with. Organics in the US is becoming really, there's a more and more of a push for organics because of the traceability and the third party verifications and beyond just the practices involved. And we see, especially in Oregon, there's a lot of really, I would say, environmentally thoughtful farmers that are working more and more towards organic practices. So we don't use herbicides or pesticides. Yeah, we really don't add much at all to the soil because we're growing on organic. We rotate, obviously. So yeah, we do work with conventional farmers, but they would utilize organic practices.
What are the other cultures that you have in your field?
So we, like on Angela's farm, she has livestock, and then we have rotated with different vegetable crops. We've rotated another crop that's huge in our region is grass seed. Like we're one of the largest grass seed producers in the world in Oregon, and those farmers need rotations. So a lot of those farms are very interested in doing fiber flax seed rotations. It rotates well with those crops. But Oregon's a specialty crop state. We have, I think, more specialty crops in our state than any other state in the US. We have multiple different soil types and growing regions. So we're kind of unique that way. There's a lot of agriculture here. So getting farmers behind fiber flax has not been hard. They all see the benefits of it. And all of our crops, every single one of them the commercial scale has not been irrigated. So we haven't had to irrigate when we time it right. So that's also been a huge plus for farmers here and a reason a lot of them are interested in this crop. And we also grow a lot of linseed. I mean, so it's really, we're harvesting it and treating it different for fiber, but the practices of growing it in a lot of ways are similar.
Now is January. I suppose that you are preparing the land, right? Or this year, will you have linen or not?
So we are in the middle of fundraising to get harvesting equipment, which we hope to have and plan to have this season. And if that is the case, if we have harvesting equipment, because we've been doing everything by hand, so we haven't went, much above a half acre-ish, sort of plots. They're all much smaller at this scale because we don't have a way to get it out. But if we have harvesting equipment, we have enough seed to plant 100 acres this year to trial in our region for fiber. And that would be one of the larger fiber, that would be the only fiber crop in the US. at that scale. So yes, we're trying to start scaling up, but the harvesting equipment is, a must.
Yeah, I suppose it's super expensive and yeah, no, I don't know, but
Yeah, and we don't make it here because, we don't have it here. We can't just go buy or lease a harvester here because they don't even make them in the States. So that's been a huge hurdle for every group because if you're relying on hand pulling, you're very limited on what you can do.
yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I see images
Yeah,
when the
exactly.
season is there and I see these huge machines, I
Yep,
can imagine, yeah, that's joined by hand will be a very big issue
exactly.
for you. Above all, if you have this, well, the considering the size of your field.
Yeah, the scale of this is very small still because we really need, yeah.
So you already say that the linen chain has gone. How is the bass fiber industry organized in Oregon and US? And probably you already replied to this question, but is it today possible to have a 100% US made fiber?
So yeah, so the bast fiber industry in the US, there's multiple groups coming together to start to really organize what's felt, especially around hemp, which is huge here right now. It seems like a lot of groups, there's multiple groups around the US starting to create infrastructure for not only flax, but also for hemp and how those things go together. And right now, the groups are starting to come together to try to organize kind of a similar CELC sort of organization in the States where we could all be working together instead of competing with one another so that we can actually get an infrastructure going. And I see a lot of hope in that because everyone really has been coming together and talking about, creating an advisory board and how do we, kind of actually create a real chain here. Groups like Fibershed, we work really closely with Fibershed. They're a partner of ours. They've been working to create a Western textile kind of syndicate, or I'm losing the word too, Western textile district, but kind of rebuilding not just flax, but all natural fibers, wool, cotton, because we see a real synthetics are taking over and natural fibers are starting to slide off. And so I think the vision is to have a similar organization like Europe has the CELC, where we would really focus on flax and hemp together, bass fibers, because those infrastructures really fit well. Today, 100% US made fiber. There's some small groups that have like gotten small quantities, and I would say it's more kind of a research development stage where we have gotten, it's been grown here and mostly processed here. But yeah, the lack of equipment, machinery to process bass fibers, especially long line, is just not here yet. So there's a lot of groups working on it.
So do you plan to maybe buy them from Europe or I don't know?
So we are working closely with multiple machinery manufacturers in Europe. Our goal is to import the first set here in Oregon and set up a pilot mill that other regions could come kind of learn from. And then we could start building other mills throughout other regions to create that supply chain. But yes, we will be working with Europe to import machinery here. And then maybe, over time, as there's more demand here, things could start being made here to limit how much, back and forth we're doing with shipping and stuff. But yeah, we will be working with Europe which is exciting. I think it's
Yeah, that's this project so exciting and so ambitious and really I wish you all the best. There is so much to do and as you said before this fiber flax linen is so that has a lot of potential in many fields, not only textiles. Okay, so we are going to end our conversation. It was so interesting. Thank you so much, Shannon. Yeah, last question. What can we hope for bast fibers development in US?
I think within the next year to two, we will have enough infrastructure to do research and development to start scaling up. And I think the years that we've done, many years to get to where we are, we have kind of built the foundation that's needed to take it to the next step and get some mid-scale manufacturing here. We've always had the vision of working in partnership with other countries too, because linen is such an amazing fiber. And I'm always dismayed at how small of a sector linen is within the entire textile industry or in the fiber industry. It's just this tiny little thing on the pie chart. And I'd love to see that get much larger, you know?
What can we hope for you and like and Angela, of course, if you know, as entrepreneur?
Our hope is to have the first mill in the US to produce long line linen by the end of this year. That's been our goal, and I think we're on track to do that. So we hope by the end of 2021, we will have a Dutch mill in the US, in Oregon, which would be the first processing facility for long line bast fibers in the US at this time.
I'm so excited for this project, and of course, I will follow you. For all the people listening, I will put all the links to your project. Do you want to add something?
I just mostly thank you so much for inviting us and for reaching out to us. We got to go to France a couple of years ago and spent like a week in Normandy area, and it's a place we put it up on a pedestal sort of because we would drive around France in the beautiful countryside and think, Oregon looks like this in many ways, but we have a ways to go to have the sort of culture, and I think the linen culture is it's an important thing to us.
I saw some pictures of Oregon and Portland, so I can say that I really would like to visit you.
I know we should all come there and you come here and we can show each other around.
It's yeah, it's very nice places too. So yeah, so thank you so much, Shannon. It was
Thank
very a
you.
pleasure to connect with you. I think this is one of the most important part of what I do on social media, actually.
Yeah, I bet.
Connecting with people, with like-minded people, I mean, is the best part for me. So I been following your project, I think, since last year, and I'm very, very happy that we had this nice conversation and that I had the opportunity to know more about your project and what you do and your vision. And I feel you so enthusiastic that I really do hope that 2021 will be your year.
Well, thank you so much. It was great talking with you.
Thank you. Thank you for listening to this episode. I hope you like it. You can find all the references in the notes. Don't hesitate to contact me on Instagram or Facebook to leave me your opinion and your suggestion. See you soon for the next episode, and until then, take care.